up in the winter, doesn't it?
Quick. I want to keep the good stuff. It's all of that. I'll take
He's been there.
and you know the cylinder something. I think I read it before.
Yeah, he's been there a couple of years now. I think this is his second full year.
Oh, the new road, yeah. I don't see why it wouldn't help. Yes. I don't know.
I think she is.
See, it's not double-sided. I don't do that. Honestly, that's like a TSC. That's why she's real. Is it?
Yeah.
I'd like to bring the meeting to order and ask that roll be called, please.
Feldman?
Here.
Holzhauser? Here. Hodo?
Here.
Humble?
Here.
Tyra? Wagenhoff?
Here.
Wisdom?
I'd like to ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Before we now move on to the public participation portion of this meeting, we'll begin with Dr. Bierman and the superintendent's report.
It is on. First item, FOIA requests. Since our last meeting, we've had 2 FOIA requests. CFO McKenzie has completed one of those and the other is in progress. General information, no school reminder. Martin Luther King Day is on Monday, January 20th, and school will not be in session that day. Next week, we have negotiations with the non-certified union that will be adding the other 3 components. I believe Mr. Wagenbach has volunteered for that. Thank you, sir, or drafted, one of the 2. So he'll be attending that on our behalf. Thank you to Mr. Hodel for sitting in on the ARC meeting last week. And then 2 other items. My evaluation, Dr. Humbles has asked that I remind everyone, she'll be passing that out at the April board meeting, and then those are due, which would be April 16th, due back to her by April 25th, and then she will have those tabulated and presented to me by May 2nd. And then last item, at the last meeting, we discussed the second round interviews with the construction management firms. We still have not set a date. I believe the rough date we had was May 27th, which is a Monday. We have 3 firms to interview.
January.
What did I say?
May.
January 27th. Thank you, Tom. So I don't need an answer now, but if I could get something by the end of the evening, I can then coordinate with those firms and get that done. And that is all I have at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dearman. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board? If so, please raise your hand. Seeing none, this concludes the participation portion of the meeting. The board will now move on to information discussion items. School activity account reports are included in the board packet. Are there any discussions? Next, Dr. Dearman will address the extracurricular activity fee.
This is just something that Mr. Wagenbach had brought up in discussion. This is not your instructional classroom fees that were approved at the last meeting. This is strictly the activity fee, which currently stands at $90, and is unlimited as far as, whether you do one activity or 5. It's $90 and that covers you. I've met with Dr. Humbles, Mr. Wagenbach, I've talked with Mrs. Caslett, Mr. Holmes, and what we're looking into is possibly changing it, because it hasn't changed in 6 years, from $90 to $100. And then for each additional activity, $50 to a maximum of 3, so the max out of pocket will be $200. What that looks like when it's implemented, that's what we're still working with Mrs. Caslett, Mr. Holmes on, and I'll have that for you before the vote next month.
Thank you, Dr. Dearman. Is there any discussion?
I would just like and I think that's what you're talking about getting, Dr. Dearman, but I would like to get a sense of how many, what is the lift that we're looking at here in terms of dollars, or which I assume is what then put us on this path for. But also, I'm curious as to the impact, like how many kids are doing or participating in more than 1, more than 2, more than 3. I mean, we must have that information somewhere.
Yeah, I'll have all that data available and a couple other spreadsheets as well, so you're fully informed when you make your vote.
Yeah. And
If you could put that in an email specifically what you would like to see, to remind me, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. And then the other thing that I know it came up when Tim brought up the first time was just what do other schools do?
I've got that.
Yeah, good. Thank you. That's it, Abby.
Thank you. This concludes the information discussion item segment of the meeting. The board will now move on to the consent agenda. Are there any clarifications or discussions regarding the board agenda, consent agenda? May I please have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Wagenball. Is there a second?
Second.
I think I heard Mr. Feldman
No, that's
first.
fine.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call vote.
Feldman.
Aye.
Olszewski. Aye. Hodel.
Aye.
Humbles.
Aye.
Wagenbach.
Aye.
Motion carried. Board will now move on to action items. The bill list, treasurer's report, district investment report, and bank statements are included in the board packet. Is there any discussion? May I please have a motion to approve payment of the bills?
I move to approve payment of the bills in the amount of $4,698,867.05 as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hodel. Roll call vote, please.
Olszewski. Aye. Hodel.
Aye.
Humbles.
Aye.
Wagenbach.
Aye.
Feldman.
Motion carried. Information regarding the Illinois Vision 2030 resolution is included in the board packet, and it was, I think you addressed this last month as an introduction. Is there any discussion? May I have a motion to approve the resolution?
I move to approve the resolution as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Hodel. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wagenbaugh. Motion carried. This concludes the action item.
Wait, we have to vote.
What's that?
You can do a voice vote on that if you want.
Oh, I'm sorry. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. This concludes the action item portion of the meeting, and the board will now move on to closed session. May I please have a motion to adjourn to closed session?
I move to adjourn to closed session for the following purposes as stated in the Open Meetings Act: the appointment, employment, compensation, and performance of specific employees, student disciplinary cases, collective negotiating matters, litigation, security procedures, discussion of minutes of meetings lawfully closed, and purchase of real property.
Thank you, Ms. Holhauser. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hodel. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried, and the time is
6:08.
6:08. 6:08 PM. I know. Okay. 6, where's my phone? Because that one's supposedly slow. 6:17. Thank you.
Get one after 16 years.
May I have a motion to approve the human resource consent agenda?
I move to approve the human resources consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Holzhauser. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Hodel, thank you. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Feldman?
Aye.
Holzhauser? Aye. Soto?
Aye.
Humbles?
Aye.
Wagner?
Aye.
Motion carried. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Adjourn.
Thank you, Ms. Holzhauser. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Who said second? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, nay. Time is 6:18. That might be a record.
6:18.
Yes.
That is a record.
Well, I'll be darned. Thanks, everybody. Have a great, have a great, cold weekend.
Said if we got Andrew and Mike out of here, be able to get stuff.